Willpower ambassador to the Telerak, Alexander Sankarantzis prepared himself for his likely last diplomatic mission ever. He straightened his tie, making sure he looked presentable in the mirror. He had spent the night reviewing messages and sending virtual mail from his room in the capital city. Room was a bit of a luxurious word for it. It felt more like a prison to him. The Telerak were not overly friendly, and Alexander had been informed as soon as morning came that his escort awaited him downstairs. As he was directed into the large vehicle surrounded by armed men, his thoughts wandered off to the species that humanity was at war. It had all started with a lack of understanding, or so he thought. Humanity was still fresh on the international stage and was trying to leave its mark. They took offense to some of the less than honorable morals of the Telerak people, who routinely enslaved races they viewed as lessers and committed various atrocities. One aspect of the Telerak that helped in their claims of superiority was the fact that they, as a species, had psychic powers. Having not heard of the old adage, with great power comes great responsibility, they simply used theirs to do as they will, often at the detriment of others. We thought that we'd be unique in the aspect that we always bickered and fought. But it seemed to extend to the galaxy at large as well. The idea of a unified alien council often made its way in our media, but it was just wish. The universe as a whole was cruel, not simply planet Earth. The Telerak took offense to the boycotts and sanctions that humanity wished to impose on them, using their might as would a bully and attacking human colonies in retribution. The battles proved to be hard-fought and even harder to win. Casualties mounted on both sides. Although the human ones were higher, they lost no ground. Thankfully, these were mainly fought in the colonies far away from Sol. But the governments were now worried that it would soon reach home. As such, Alexander was sent to try and end the hostilities. The vehicle stopped, letting Alexander disembark before it left again, leaving him stranded in front of their seat of power. Alexander took a long, deep breath, conjuring up the mental fortitude to continue on. As he climbed the steps to reach the top, 2 guards stopped him. "Halt, Bai. We meet you." The robotic translator voice spoke out. Alexander extended his arms and legs as they ran some kind of scanner over him. As the guard probed the scanner to the front of the human's chest, it beeped. Terribly sorry. Pacemaker. Here, I have my health kit." The Telerak guards scoffed in disgust. "Pathetic weak creatures, how have you not perished yet?" Alexander considered the comment, replying, "Willpower and ingenuity. They are my people's greatest asset." With a shake of their head, the guards let Alexander enter. The interior was magnificently decorated, with rare metals on display, woven and designed with great care by talented artists. "Such a shame," Alexander muttered to himself. Some type of secretary guided him along to a room where 5 Telerak seemed to be waiting for him. They were dressed rather splendidly, long flowing purple robes with intricate motifs, and Alexander could feel the power that seemed to radiate. Noticing him enter the room, one of the 5 waved to the secretary to close the door and indicated a small chair to the human. "You know why you're here, human?" To discuss. Sir, the other four nodded, smiles on their faces. Excellent. The usual terms, then. Alexander had barely had the time to sit down as he stood back up again, readying himself to leave. Thank you. You'll receive the demands within 3 to 4 cycles. The one that seemed in charge had turned its back. It pivoted rapidly to face him as it heard its words. What? Alexander cleared his throat and spoke nicely and slowly. The demands for your unconditional surrender. A moment of confusion set in, but was quickly broken down with roars of laughter. Barely able to contain their fits, insults flew from their mouths as they could hardly control themselves, calling him deranged, lunatic, and clueless. Did they send a stupid one? No, it's your unconditional surrender we're looking for. Oh, there's a misunderstanding there. Humanity has no desire nor intention to surrender. The Telarac's face contorted with rage and twisted with malice. Power erupted from its mind as it seized Alexander and lifted him up in mid-air. Raw venom came out of its mouth. No, you misunderstand. Humanity is in no position to demand anything but our mercy, which is in very short supply. Alexander couldn't control any of his extremities. His whole body was paralyzed except his head. Now you'll torture me? He managed to croak out. Yes. All will see the weak human broken by us, a prelude of what is to come. You'll be made an example for your entire species, a stark reminder of their place in the universe as we tear you limb from. Looking at the Telarac, Alexander smiled. Ad astra per aspera. Alexander used all his strength to chew on something in his mouth, foam quickly rising to his mouth as he spasmed uncontrollably in midair, still held by the Telarac's telekinesis. Bah! It killed itself. A shame, really. Well now, I suppose we will have... What is that sound? A faint sound originated from the human's body, a sort of beeping that seemed to accelerate rapidly. A blinding light was the last thing the transmission sent out before being abruptly cut off.